I'm the executive director of Oasis Recovery Organization in Tifton. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I celebrate recovery now for over 8 years, almost 9 years now, over drugs and alcohol. Thank y'all. It's a journey, man. It's a journey. I don't want to give you a whole lot about my story. I really just want to share some cool stuff. I want to talk about what this is all about, why this stuff matters. Thank you. Who got a refresher? Was it yummy? They're pretty good, right? It's pretty good. Thank y'all. Every one of those that you bought. The lady partnered with us in Tifton, and my roof caved in. And there's holes all in my ceiling. Our floor's ruined. We lost electrical equipment, all kinds of stuff. Insurance is like, no, won't do anything. A lot. My van got totaled. Someone tried to write over $20,000 worth of fraudulent checks and overdrafted fees on our account, not to mention how much came out. There's just a lot that happened, and it happened all at one time. And this is what God put on my heart. I lived a part, you heard some of Lindsay's testimony, and that's her beautiful story to tell. 4 months after we were married, she was in a car accident. She had a seizure behind the wheel of her car, and it broke her back, her neck, punctured her lung, broke 8 ribs, broke her leg, broke her wrist, broke her arm, broke her shoulder blade, tore the nerve endings from her spinal cord, actually tore them out. That's where some of the paralysis comes from. We left the hospital, she was labeled a quadriplegic. I don't know if y'all saw her today, but she walks and she shakes hands and she was pretty daggum good. So that's the miracle. My story's not really all that unique. Dude, you guys will hear a lot of Evans come through this place. I was just an old lost soul that looked for, I tried to use the world and solutions from the world to fix what at the time I did not know was a spiritual problem. And that's what it boils down to. I chose drugs. That's where I thought I found comfort and community. And honestly, for a time I did. I was employed because of drugs. I had a girlfriend because of drugs. I had a social circle because of drugs. The fat kid with a hearing aid and long crazy hair that really didn't fit in anywhere became the coolest kid on the block because I had all the stuff they wanted to smoke. I got to go to all the parties. I mean, so for a time, I'm not glorifying it, but for a time, it provided what I thought this void in my life was. I had no idea that it was Jesus all along at the time. But looking back, all signs point to him. This is something I've been working on. I want to share. This is it's not easy, but it's really simple. The whole thing, recovery, and even Christianity, right? I can look the verse up. I think it's something 12, but I found it when I was in the hospital with Lindsay. And God put this on my heart, and it basically says, rejoice all the time and pray when you're going through hard stuff. This is my will for you, right? This is what I want for your life. See if I can find it. I'm not gonna find it. Watch. Oh, look, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Simple. I would walk around the hospital. We were in that hospital for 6 months. I lived there. I would not leave her side. We lived there for 6 months. Oasis is near and dear to my heart because at that time, I was just a van driver for Oasis. I started out on the bottom of the totem pole, and I got a call one day. It was law enforcement. They told me she was in the hospital, and it was 6 months from that day before I stepped foot back into Oasis at my job. But my job was secure. My bills were paid. The community that is Oasis, that welcomed me and my family is such a beautiful place. It's not just a job. It's really not. So I went 6 months without having to be concerned about my bills and what was going to happen. And then I left Oasis. I went to Albany and got the opportunity to work on a really cool thing. But I came back as the executive director, and it's always just been this beautiful place for my family. And it's a beautiful place for so many families. for so many broken people to have a place to be broken. And I don't know if you really know how important that is. It's huge. We don't have very many places where it's okay to not be okay. They criminalize us because of our health issues. And we go to jail where there's no help. I have an organization that law enforcement will call us and we'll go to your house, and you don't have to go to jail in Tifton. You can choose it, but you don't have to go. You don't have to OD and go to a hospital in Tifton. They'll call us. We can come get you and take you to some place where you're actually going to get people that want to care for what's going on with you and not call you a criminal. So I'm ADHD, diagnosed and unmedicated, by the way. So hang with me on these tangents. I'll bring us back, dude. Just keep all your extremities inside the vehicle for the duration of this ride, okay? All right. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Walked around this hospital, joyful in hope. Some things felt hopeless. How do you have joy when everything around you feels hopeless? Patient in affliction. How can you sit and wait when it hurts so bad? And faithful in prayer. That's the blueprint, y'all. That's it. Then there's another verse that says to carry the burdens of everyone else. And again, there's another mention of like Christ's will for our lives, right? The reason I bring all that up is because if you start working this program that we call Celebrate Recovery, saved my life, saved lives of lots of people all over the world now. They do these things called the 12 steps. And if you start working on them, they seem really complicated. They're super wordy. It's a lot. I want to give you something today. Hopefully I can encourage somebody. And it's a little bit off of a testimony, but here's the testimony, dude. I was a ratchet individual. I was a terrible human being. I was lost in the ways of the world. I was in love with my sin. I served the devil, and I made profit off of people's pain. That is the old Evan. And on some little form of my Damascus road, God interrupted my patterns before my patterns destroyed my life. He met me on a jail cell floor. And from that day forward, you cannot tell me that my God's not alive. I signed a bid to go to prison for 2 years after I was facing 20 years in prison at 20 years old. I signed a bid to do 2 years, and on my way into the courtroom, they handed me a piece of paper to go serve 6 months. Nobody knows the miracle there was in that jail cell when I met Jesus. I told God that day, man, I didn't do what they said I did. And I'm not gonna go do 2 years in prison. I don't go tell God what you're gonna do and not do, but that's what I did. And I told him I'm not doing 2 years, but I'll give you 6 months, Jesus. I didn't say I'll go to jail for 6 months, I'll go to prison. I said, God, I'll give you 6 months. And on that way to court that day, he gave me 6 months. And I knew that that was my opportunity to turn my life around. And it wasn't no super straight linear path of Evan's transformation, dude. It was a really rocky roller coaster. And I didn't just give my life away at that moment and everything changed, but I didn't use the 12 steps. Not right away. I was probably a year into this thing before I decided to go to one of these little 12-step groups that they were holding, this little deeper dive into what happens around this place, man. And I found out that I was using the 12 steps anyway. I was doing them out of order. I was working them incorrectly, and it was making my freaking recovery a whole lot harder. What I found out for real. So I want to just bless you with this little thing that I learned through a lot of hardship, through a lot of mishandling myself in my recovery, and maybe save somebody some pain, man. Here's the truth, dude. If you took off right now, you drove west, and you just kept going west, eventually you go till you hit water, you find yourself in California. You might get there by way of Minnesota, I don't know, but you will probably eventually find the Pacific Ocean if you just do west and you don't give up. That's what I was doing. I wanted recovery, and I was just gonna push forward no matter what. It's a whole lot easier with that little GPS saying turn left. Stop at the next red light, right? Go a mile down the road and do a U-turn or whatever that little annoying voice. We all know that little lady, she gets on your nerves, right? For some reason, all of ours now sound British. Everybody from British in here now, ain't Australian or something. It's weird. Anyway, look, I found out them 12 steps. That's the roadmap. You don't need them to get sober, bro. You don't necessarily have to have God if all you want to do is get sober. But if all you want to do is get sober, recovery will evade you. You will not have recovery. You have sobriety. And after probably 45 days of not putting substances in your body, you can stop doing all of this because that's as sober as you get. Maybe 6 months if you did some other stuff and they're trying to get a hair follicle. When you can pass those tests, you are sober, bro. That's sober. It's deeper than this. It's an all-encompassing, holistic transformation of who we are. God says we are new creations. That's our physical, emotional, intellectual, recreational, and spiritual selves. It's all of us that will be transformed when we give ourselves wholly over to Christ. So these 12 steps, 1, 2, and 3, these steps, right? Basically, it's you coming to an understanding of what God looks like in your life. Who is God? Putting a name to that spiritual connection that you have with a higher power. That's it. And it's important that we work on that first. We learn later as we really start digging in it. If I would just seek ye first the kingdom, right? All things get added to me. If I put God first, the greatest commandment, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, right? It's really, these things are not as complicated as we make them out to be. Love God. What does that look like? Work out your own salvation. Oasis creates a place where they can do that. But we can come and work out our own salvation. I let you. I had to. We all honestly have to. Work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. What does that mean to you? Step 1, 2, and 3 is the process of working out your own salvation. Who is God? Not mommy and daddy's God. Because he was great as a kid and raised up a child, right? And that was wonderful because it laid a foundation and saved my life, but he had to become my real Jesus. And he is. Step 4, 5, 6, 7, right? You'll notice that's a much larger chunk of step work. And it's the largest chunk of step work. And that chunk of step work is when you start working on you. Now that we've got God, we figured out step 1, 2, 3. Notice there's no timeline. I don't know how long it takes for you. It took me a long time. And here's the coolest part. It's called sanctification. I'm going to be figuring out this God thing for the rest of my life. That's freeing for me. There's no figuring it out to move on. I have permission to figure it out as I take the next step. And the beautiful thing is if we get to step 3 and our hearts are truly prepared, we just invite God to walk the rest of it out with us. That's it. That's it. 4, 5, 6, and 7, now God's on our team. So as I start working out me, I love that mental health thing y'all have. What a beautiful way to start. Right? Because 4, 5, 6, and 7 now is how we view ourselves, but not just working on us. Because, hey, man, I'm broken. I led me here. All right, follow me for a little while. You will understand. I'm not well, right? But with God, man. With God. He took a boy with a 7th grade education that they told me was so freaking jacked up, wired in my head, I'd never have a full-time job. That's what they told my mom. I'd never work a full-time position. Ever. Never gonna work for me. Not unless I'm heavily medicated. We tried that route. Didn't work for me. God said, you can't shut him up, man. He needs to speak. And then they said, you're talking too much. Sit down somewhere. You can't be still. Now they say, Evan, will you please come speak at our event? We love your energy. Come on, man. God's got a plan for all those things in your life that the world's trying to tell you is if it's you and God wired you that way, man, embrace your weirdness, bro. Celebrate Recovery got a spot for you. Go sit with me. I have the weird dreadlock light shining brightly. Seriously though, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So now we take this new God lens and we start to affirm ourselves through what God says we are. Start to learn what you look like through the lens of Jesus. What What does it mean? Who does God call me to be? What does God say about Evan? Because if you start looking through different higher powers and trying to experience whatever the rest of them have to offer you, I looked around. I shopped a little bit. I wasn't sold just because mom and dad said so. I wasn't. I'll tell you that none of them got what Jesus got. None of them have the love for you. None of it is as beautifully crafted of some just crazy conspiracy love story to free you. It's Jesus. It's all Jesus. So 4, 5, 6, and 7, we start growing in this understanding of God. Then we start taking that lens and applying it to ourselves. What do I look like? Who am I really? Not the labels I wear from the world, not the shame and the guilt I carry from the mistakes I made. None of that. Just who am I? What does God call me to be? Step 7 and 8, or 8 and 9, sorry. 8 and 9, just the 2 little steps. Not much. We had 3 steps, figuring us out with God. We had 4 deep steps, trying to figure us out with us and God. And now we got 2 itty bitty steps, trying to figure us out with everybody else. I'm going to tell you where most of us hit the wall, man, where the hiccup is. We're trying to figure us and everybody else out, and we ain't even got God and us straight yet. We want to fix our relationships. We want our job back. We want forgiveness from the people we make amends to. We want everyone else that views us as this horrible individual to change their opinion because I'm not that bad. I was sick. I got help. I'm healed. Jesus, look at me now. And we want to get there, and we rush the process. Or we get caught up in relationships, and we don't focus on putting God first, working God out with me in my life, and then applying that to how that looks in my social circles. We jump back into people, places, and things so quickly. And I will tell you this, toxic environments are so much more likely to change you than you are to change them. By yourself especially, and if you don't have much time in this game. It is a dirty game. It's not pretty, and it never will be. It's broken people that are manipulators and liars and thieves, and I was. Everybody comes through Oasis. They're like, Evan, man, this dude here. And I'm like, I know, man, he's one of us. Bring him in. Love him good. So that's it. If you look at the steps, this framework to life, notice I ain't talked about getting high, putting drugs down much, because it's really not it. It's a start. Be sober-minded. It's a great place to start working on you and God and everything else. Kind of got to get the fog off to think clearly, but it's not about just not getting high today. It starts there. But this process, a couple steps, figuring out God, a couple more steps, putting that into my life and applying that to me, holding that mirror to myself for a while, working on that, and then 2 tiny steps, figuring me out with everybody else. And then there's just 3 little steps for maintaining that forever. 10, 11, and 12 are just how I maintain my right standing with God, self, and other people. There's your framework. It's an actually really cool way to get discipleship. It's a great way to practice mindfulness and learn how to sit with yourself and what's going on with you instead of running to something. A lot of us wear recovery like a new persona. We don't actually sit in what hurts and learn to feel that and give ourselves permission to feel it, because if we don't allow ourselves to feel it, we can't allow Jesus to heal it. Sometimes you got to go through it. Jesus said, even unto death. I'll tell you, there's a lot of things died in my life. A lot of things. Sticking it out, feeling it, experiencing it, praying over it, leading myself into circles of men that just care for me and love me well. And I have lost so much shame. Man, the old me has died. That's what died in my life. There's an old me dead and gone. I was a terrible, terrible human. And I found God in this jail cell. And that's really, I want people to understand these 12 steps are a beautiful way to work out these things in your life. God doesn't ask us to do a whole lot, man. Profess with your mouth that he's Lord. Believe in your heart that that's factual, and he's going to save you. That's all people that call on him. I found Jeremiah 29:11 in that jail cell. I thought that was the coolest verse in the world. Boy, he going to make me prosper Boy, I got all happy, but I ain't never seen none of that in my life. I found the next verse, 12 and 13, right? It says, he'll hear you, he'll answer you when you call on him with your whole heart. That's why I missed it every time. Whole heart. Whole heart. When you're ready to just give it all up. Man, when this thing has beaten you down to where it's surrender is where we win. The victory isn't giving up. Kingdom is so counterculture. God does everything upside down. Everything. He said the last gonna be first. We're gonna walk on gold streets, right? All that stuff God got doing in the kingdom is just topsy-turvy. And it's strange, having to learn how to surrender. But I did. I don't know how much time I got. I don't want to take too much. This has been really special. I want to share something with you guys. I was on my way down here, and I just got to thinking, Milledgeville, when we say Milledgeville, it's still, you know, I send y'all to Milledgeville, well, they'll keep you down there, right? Why? Because of that hospital, man. And it's a dark history. I mean, I've never been to a Celebrate Recovery where they have a mental health slide. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that, but that is a part of this community, right? So I want to share something. I don't know if it's stigmatized in your life, but I want to share one more thing. I just want to give you guys something that I know from some trainings I went to. I haven't gotten to see it yet. It's on my bucket list, but has anybody heard of the Bell of Hope or the Hope Bell? Am I familiar with what that is? No? Cool, I get to share something cool with you guys. So, right here in Milledgeville, hope has a sound. For generations, this town carried the weight of one of the largest mental institutions in America, Central State Hospital. And it wasn't just a place. It was a world of 12,000 souls at its peak. Many of them forgotten, restrained. They suffered in silence. And yet, from that same era of darkness, there came something beautiful and powerful. A 300-pound bell. It was cast in 1953 from the very chains and shackles that were once used on the patients. These chains and shackles were melted down, reformed, and transformed in what became the Bell of Hope. It's a symbol that says what once bound us can be turned into something that sets us free. Does anybody believe that tonight? The chains that bound you can be the things and be turned into the things that set you free. God will mold them into the keys that unlock everything holding you back. Celebrate Recovery is proof. This city, the story of this city, it doesn't end with chains. It continues in freedom, in healing, community. And I see it. Jesus is rewriting stories one step at a time right here in this place. Milledgeville knows firsthand what brokenness really looks like. But Milledgeville also knows what hope sounds like. Tonight, I hope that you guys will ring that bell of hope with me again. I love y'all. Thank you for letting me share.